Hi, Ange. Give us a update, please.
Yeah, at this stage, everyone's sort of pulled up okay from Wednesday night. So no real issues coming out of that. And yeah, aside from that, I think McCarthy missed Wednesday night. Like I said, he had a bit of an illness, but he was back training today. And yeah, 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗹's obviously out till after the international break. Everyone else should be okay.
What sort of challenge are you expecting from St Mirren?
Yeah, a good challenge, a tough challenge. They've had a decent start to the year, and always a difficult place to go to. So yeah, we're ready for it. We've obviously our league form has been really good, and I think we've kind of improved every week we've gone out there. Obviously, last week no football in the league, so we concentrate on the Champions League. But again, our focus is making sure that we go out there on Sunday and improve on our performances so far and keep our league form going.
Ange, are there many tweaks you need to make going from a Champions League game that's likely to be a lot more open to a domestic game where you're likely to be coming up against a more defensive side?
Yeah, not really. I mean, not in terms of our approach. Obviously, the games, as you said, potentially could go in a different way to what the Champions League and games go. But in terms of the underlying stuff, we still kind of focus on the same things about sort of dominating the game and dominating where the game's played and making sure that we're kind of always aggressive in our approach. We took that into the Champions League games and coming back to league is no different for us. So whatever the sort of differences may be, the answers still lie within us concentrating on the sort of basic fundamentals of how we want to play.
Despite the sort of depth you've got in your squad, you've been fairly consistent when it comes to the sort of starting 11 in the early stages of this season. Has that been a relatively easy decision just based on the performance level you've had in those games?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been building towards something. Obviously, last weekend's game getting called off meant that there was probably a rotation in there for some of the players who haven't played, and we would have come out of this sort of first group of games with everyone getting some decent game time, but that sort of never happened. And but we know after the international break, I think we've got 10 or 11 games in 34, 35 days. So we're going to need everybody, and there's no doubt that the team will change through that process. And again, it's about having everyone ready. I think, like I said, we began that process. I mean, if you remember the Ross County game, I think I made 9 changes, and the level of our performance was excellent on the night, and we probably would have done something similar last weekend. So we're still gearing up to what's ahead, and what's ahead is that we're going to require a real strong squad of players, and we won't be able to rely on sort of just 11, 12 to get us through it.
I wonder if it's possible just to get your reaction to UEFA opening disciplinary proceedings against the club with regards to the banners that were displayed in midweek.
They're opening an investigation, so I'm not really sure what you expect me to say to that. If there's an investigation, and then we'll wait for what the investigation unfolds.
Your St Mirren counterpart, Stephen Robinson, said that he's hoping that fans from both clubs are respectful on Sunday afternoon. Do you have a similar message? Or do you have a message to the Celtic fans? Because I would imagine there'll be a lot of eyes on them on Sunday after what happened in midweek.
I have the same message to our fans that we always have, and we've always, as I said before the game, we abided by the protocols. We wore black armbands on Wednesday night. I think there's a minute's applause. We'll abide by whatever obligations we have and responsibilities we have as a football club. We'll do that in a respectful manner. We want our supporters to do the same. I'm not going to speak on behalf of anyone else's supporters. I'll look after our own club and our own supporters. And like I said, we'll do whatever is required, as we have so far, I think, in a fairly respectful way as a football club.
You obviously had such a good performance in midweek in the Champions League. Is it disappointing that the performance to some degree has been overshadowed by all the talk about what went on in the stands at the game?
Well, it depends on what you're reading and what you're listening to. My focus is on us as a football club, and as you said, the performance was really strong at the highest level of competition. And, we've still got some growth to do as a football team in terms of playing at that level on a consistent basis. And, I was encouraged by our progress, but also know that we need to keep improving in those areas. And as I said, we'll keep representing our football club in the best possible way.
With St Mirren coming up at the weekend, is this maybe an opportunity to see more of 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗶 and maybe some game time for 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗶 as well?
We'll have a look at it. Like I said, it was good for 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗹 to sort of start the game the other night. We know he's not ready for 90 minutes, particularly the kind of football we want to play and obviously the level, but I just thought it was a good game for him because of his experience to come in and sort of make an impact, and I thought he did well for the time he was on the pitch. But as I said, it was never going to go much beyond sort of halfway, 50 minutes. But we'll see on the weekend. We've still got other players and other options in those areas who are also playing really well and in great form. And in terms of Oliver, he's a bit different because he missed all the pre-season, came in late and wasn't really training with the team. So we've just got to be a bit patient with him. I think probably we've got another 2 weeks of international break where we can do some work with him, and I think you'll see more of him sort of post-international break rather than now.
Just looking ahead to the international break, is it a chance for yourselves to regroup, or is there a bit of a worry that some players could come back injured?
No, look, I think it's part of the process now. That players will go away at international level. It's a bit different this year because we only have the one sort of international break, and then there's the World Cup. So we know it's important for the players. I mean, pleasing thing for us, a lot of it's on this side of the world this time. I mean, Japan's having their games over here in Europe, so that mitigates the travel sort of factor for our boys, for a lot of them. So no issues with that. I think, as I said, we're going to come up to a pretty intense period after it. So probably them being away from our football club and just being in a different environment, hopefully freshens them up and they come back ready to go.
Just on the subject of internationals, we spoke to Greg Taylor earlier, and he's maybe get a good chance of playing next week for Scotland. Andy Robertson out as well. Do you feel his progress, the Champions League, is really kind of boosted him, and he seems to be playing well and growing in confidence?
Yeah, he's going really well, and he's just he's improving because he wants to improve. He's one of these players again who I think maybe in the past sort of people put in a certain box and sort of classified, but as a certain kind of player or for a certain kind of level. But as I keep saying to all our footballers, is that that's up to them to change that perception with improvement in performance, in training, in everything they do physically, mentally, on and off the pitch. And Greg's one of those guys. He comes in every day wanting to be better, and I think he's been encouraged that he's seen the fruits of his labour. His performance is continually improving, and I think he's done exceptionally well for us so far this year, and including the Champions League games. But he's only 23, and again, that's a real key to us as a football team at the moment. Is, as I keep saying, we want to have growth and we want to keep improving. The beauty of that is if you look at sort of our starting lineup and a lot of the players who played, on Wednesday night and are playing so far, is that, the best years are very much ahead of them. So as long as they maintain that sort of mindset of improvement, then who knows what level they can reach. The dangers come when they get sort of comfortable and sort of plateau in a certain space. But Greg's not one of those guys. I mean, since I've been here, he's one that, as I said, he's really embraced the culture, the environment, and wants to be the best footballer he can be.
On that topic, there was a lot of praise for you from your opposite number after the game on Tuesday as well. I think some people have kind of compared how clinical you've been at home, putting the 9 past Dundee United to maybe missing a few chances in the Champions League. But does that maybe just come with confidence of showing that you can play well at that level, that clinical nature will come into Europe as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's experience, isn't it? I mean, it's not many teams score 9 goals at Champions League level. The games are by their nature tighter. The chances are a little bit sharper. But you can't sort of improve on that unless you're exposed to it. And like we know there's areas of improvement for us, and part of that is taking the opportunities we have. But it's it's the most difficult part of our game, and the higher level you go, the more difficult it gets, and it's why the ones who are successful at the highest possible levels in terms of scoring goals, taking chances, are the most priceless of assets, and they're in a unique space. But it doesn't mean that you can't get there and you can't strive to get there. So I don't see it as sort of a weakness for us. It's more a case of, I think the more we're exposed to it, the more we put ourselves in those positions. As I said after the game, we'll get the rewards. The difficulty is getting to that space in the first place. One, to compete at this level. Secondly, to create chances at this level is not easy. You're playing against world-class players and world-class teams, but we're edging our way to be that kind of team. And then the next layer is, turn the opportunities into goals, and then from then you turn that into victories at this level on a consistent basis. But that doesn't happen with a snap of a finger, or so it takes time. But that's what we're trying to build into this group.
Hi, just speaking with Greg Taylor there, he touched on that the squad, they're always looking forward, they're always looking to get into, a positive mindset, and the only time we ever look back is to improve. Do you think, the mindset off the park is just as important as the mindset on the pitch and what you're trying to build?
Yeah, it's really the only bit, because everyone kind of sees the end product, and that is the game, and they hopefully see us improving as a team, performance by performance. But the real work happens in between that, and the real work happens, in training every day, and even away from training, how they conduct themselves in their private lives, because it all feeds into performance. So they come in here every day, irrespective of what happened, in the previous game, looking for improvement, looking for ways to be better. And that's, and like you said, that's a mindset thing, is that you wake up in the morning and you want to be the best you can be. You want to be a little bit better than the day before. Now, that just won't happen because you come to a game and you play well in the game. It's what you do in between. And like I said, not just while they're here, but what they're doing when they're at home, and their whole life. A footballer's career is very brief in the context of how long potentially they have on this earth. I hope they all have long and healthy lives, and it's what I keep telling them. But their football career is less than 1/10 of their life. So you've got to invest everything you can into that time you're a footballer to be the best you can be, and that goes on and off the field. So we try and provide that environment here. So the moment they get through the gates, they know that they're answering to me if they're not going to be pushing themselves. But when they leave the gates, I'm not in the car with them. I'm not at their house. So it's what they do there that's equally as important, for them to fulfil their potential.
And just quickly on Europe again, some of the players that played on Wednesday night and maybe against Real Madrid, it's their first experiences in the Champions League and maybe just European football in general. And you spoke, these things come with time and getting the experience. Do you think as we go on, maybe this season and next season, that the more these players play in the competition, the better they'll become and the more composed they'll become, and the chances that we maybe missed on Wednesday will take?
Yeah, look, spot on. I mean, unfortunately, the nature of football, the nature of life these days is that people have very little patience for that. They want results immediately. So the moment you show a little bit of progress, they want the next sort of development to happen, straight away. To be fair to this group of players, and no one pushes them harder than me. They've made unbelievable progress in the last sort of 13, 14 months. If you look at them, some of them weren't even playing in Europe. They were playing in Asia. Some of them were playing in League One or Championship level. Very few of them had ever been exposed to this kind of level of football, and the progress that all of them have made has been outstanding. And I guess then you fall into the trap of thinking that it's all going to happen just as quickly beyond that, but it doesn't. There is a process, and as I said at the outset, I want us to be a Champions League football club, and that means not getting a result at Champions League level in a group. That means that you're there every year, and every year you get a little bit stronger, and every year you become more and more of a worthy challenger to get to the deep into the competition, and that does. It takes time. It doesn't. You can't fast track that, but you know, not unfortunately, but I guess that's the way of the world these days, that people think, well, okay, we've conquered this now it's just about taking our chances. Well, we haven't conquered anything yet. We've still got to prove ourselves at this level. We've got to prove consistently that we can play the football we want to play. And, you know, I think if we do that, as I said after the game, I know the rewards will come, but the rewards will only come at the right time when we're worthy of it.
Hi, Ange. Just briefly moving away from the football, you're becoming quite used to Celtic theatrical productions. Can I ask how you enjoyed your night last night at Celtic the Musical?
Theatre critic, yeah. Yeah, no, 5 stars. Is that how they? I don't even know. That's judge them. Yeah, it was a great night. You know, obviously, firstly, it's a great story, but yeah, the cast do a great job, and the production behind it's brilliant. It's very much an interactive show, so the punters are just as much a part of it as the actors are. So no, it was a great night, enjoyable night. Everyone was there for a good time, and like I said, it's a great story anyway. Great for guys like 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗶 to be there. I mean, he's fallen in love with his football club, and you know, he had 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗶 sort of giving him the subtitles through it. So I think he got the gist of most of it, but. Yeah, no, it was great to be. I mean, it's always great to be amongst our supporters, and like I said, it's a great story, and the cast and everyone do a great job, well worth seeing. So that's my review, mate.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. Just kind of moving back to the football very briefly, and this will be the first domestic game after European football that we've played so far this season. Obviously, Ross County being the only midweek game. Is that something that you prefer, having such few days between games to prepare the team? Obviously, we had such a long period off after the Real Madrid game. Do you prefer that short period of time between matches?
Look, it's not about preference. It's about planning, and we had planned, obviously, for a game to be happening last weekend, and our training and everything was sort of geared around that. Obviously, with the game being called off, we had to adjust our plans and make sure that, you know, the players were well prepared for Wednesday night. But like I said, after the international break, you know, we're going to have a lot of football in a short space of time, and again, it's about planning. We're planning for that. We know what we need to do from a training perspective, from a recovery perspective. You know, we know we're going to have to use the whole squad if we want to maintain those levels. So it's not a preference thing. It's just a planning thing. So, you know, we know what's ahead, and we've kind of been planning for it from the beginning of pre-season, and hopefully that holds us in good stead.